Alright. So we're getting this going. Let me turn down this volume. All right, everyone. So welcome to another edition of Model Talk Tuesdays. I am a lady named Pearl, the founder of A Lady Named Pearl Leadership Academy, where our mission is to shape the confidence of girls and women to become future leaders through modeling, leadership, and entrepreneurship. And I'm always excited about Tuesdays because I get a chance to interview someone about the fashion industry, someone that, I'm just meeting, just as you all are. So everyone, please help me welcome Rashan Ali. Rashan, thank you so much for coming on to Model Talk Tuesdays.
No, thank you. Thank you. First, I want to say too, I love what you guys are doing. Please keep it up, and that we need you guys.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I really do. And then I am getting a hey from Whole Life Improvement Coaching Services. Hey, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming on. So Rashan is a fashion designer out of Newark, New Jersey, and he is the founder of Shway Ali 1994. Through his designs, he is channeling an innate quirky beauty in our everyday lives. You have interned for Interview Magazine and Development. Okay, I like that. So tell me about your brand, Shway Ali 1994. How did it get started? What's the concept behind it? Oh, it's Lakita. Hey, Lakita.
So Shway Ali, the name, it comes from this old Batman cartoon I used to watch. It was called Batman Beyond. It's from the early 2000s. All the mid and early 90s babies already know about that cartoon. And they used to say Shway, and Shway meant cool, basically. And when I was going and figuring out names and stuff and trying to just, because when I think about concepts and stuff, I get really deep in it, and I think sometimes that's the downfall when it comes to coming up with different things. And something one day just told me, man, look inside yourself. Look at the things that you loved growing up. And I thought about that show. I thought about what that name meant, and I said, you know what, Shway, and I love my middle name. It's just something I thought was cool, and I put the two together, Shway Ali.
No, I like that because you have like that core, that foundation, that name that stay, and it's a reason that it stayed with you. So to do that, so it's an old Batman, you said animation.
Yeah, it's an old Batman cartoon. It used to come on it used to come on Cartoon Network, all the little shows that used to cartoon channels that used to come on back in the day. And I love that show. Like I still watch it today.
Okay, awesome. Well, I got to give a shout out to Bria Renee, and I want to say hi to Victoria and Keon. Thank you all for coming on. Welcome to Model Talk Tuesdays. We're here with Rashan Ali, fashion designer. So you come up with this name, Shway Ali, and Shway means cool. So when you have come up with the name, because our students, one of their jobs is to, or one of their assignments is to create a product to become an entrepreneur. And a couple of them have clothing lines. So you've now started this name and you have the concept cool. How do you then build from that? How do you create your designs?
Well, when it comes to the designs and when it comes to just creating, I kind of look around like I think the most natural thing is to look around the environment around you. And for me, it wasn't so important to look at. I think today, a lot of times, music, rap videos, and stuff like that, they kind of shape our minds around things, but we sometimes don't see the beauty and the really fashionable things that we grew up around. And for me, just growing up in an environment that I grew up in Newark, I live in a part called the Ivory Hill section, and it's a very, I would say, mixed, very colorful neighborhood. I would say it's different shades of brown. You have my neighbor is Jamaican. My other neighbor on my other side is African. My best friend that lives down the street from me is Nigerian. So it's just a very colorful neighborhood. And throughout my life, I started to notice that, you know what, there's so many different cultures, so many different things that I could pull from when it comes to just this brand that I'm creating. I don't have to look outside of myself. I think that's the point that I'm trying to get out. A lot of times when it comes to creating things, we want to look outside of ourselves when we have a lot of the things right in front of our eyes, you know?
That's so true. We were just who was just I was just on a call, and I was talking about, we have the agency, we have the school, just for my own, brand. And then the gentleman was like, well, what are you doing all of this for? And I said, well, I'm doing this to allow people to express themselves, and I want to capitalize on it and then give that money to Haiti. So basically,
Mm,
what he was trying to do, he was like, everything that you're doing should have a touch of Haiti in it. And when you were talking about going inside, I had asked you about design and how do you come up with the concept of design. He was saying that everything I should do should have a touch of Haiti in it, since that's what's driving me, what's in me, excuse me. So no, that just made me think about, you saying that you have to design from within. And that can be your lifestyle, whatever it may be. So yeah, so no, I can totally relate to that. So tell us, so when did you start your brand, your
I,
fashion line?
I would, when it officially started was last year, but the idea has been with me for God knows how long. I mean, I feel like when it comes to us, anybody, when it comes to creating something, the idea kind of sticks with you for a long time before you kind of jump out on that ledge and say, you know what, I'm really going to give myself to this idea, to this calling that I feel. And so the brand officially started last year on in June of 2020. And I've been, ever since then, I've been kind of just creating, building on what I've come up with from the jump, and just trying to continue to give that energy out there that I've been getting when it comes to just the creative and designs that I've been coming up with.
So what was that thing that said it's time for me to do this? Because you said you've had this idea for years, and I know there's people that's on the sidelines and they've been talking. So what made you say it's time to make this happen?
It was two instances. The first time, the thing that really made me, I would say, my introduction into fashion, my introduction into just wanting to kind of have my own brand is, it was 2011. I was in, I believe that was my sophomore year in high school. And ASAP Rocky had just came out with I believe it was 2011. He had came out with the music video Pesos. And I was I was mesmerized. I mean, I couldn't leave that video. Like, and then he came out with the video for Purple Swag. And if anybody that knows that was around, that was old enough to really get into the music scene around that time, like, and get into that ASAP mob and what they were doing, like, fashion became it, to be fashionable and to be, want to wear high and stuff, it became really cool. And for me, it just made me kind of want to get into creating something. Like, I was like, I just want to create something. But I was playing basketball around that time. I was in high school, and that was kind of where a lot of my focus was going. And it kind of got away from me. The second time was in this was 2019, end of 2018 into 2019. I had just got by some chance, somebody I was following, I saw that they followed someone else that needed interns at Interview Magazine. And I was like, you know what? I want to I want to know more about fashion. I really want to get involved. I'm like, let me go and just try to sign up. Like, I didn't have any real experience, no reason for them to really want me, but I'm like, I just want to be there. I don't care if they asking me to get them coffee or telling me to just pick up some paper. I don't care. Like, I just want to be around that energy. If anybody is, oh, go ahead. You wanted to say something?
No, I was just going to say, let's talk about that internship at Interview Magazine, because that's a pretty big deal. But I think he was about to drop a jewel. He was about to say, for anybody.
For anybody that's been to New York, they just know that it comes with, it's like this energy in the air. Like, New York is synonymous when it comes to just that fast pace, just that energy. And for somebody like me, like, I love that. Like, it makes me feel like it gives me that energy. And I just love being there. So when I got there, we was working out of Mel Ottenberg's studio. Mel Ottenberg was one of the stylists for Rihanna at the time. And just being around them, seeing the different things that they do for shoots, how they go about different things with the publication. I wasn't there for a long time, but it was just a great experience. And unfortunately, one of my family members and one of my really close family members ended up getting really sick, and I had to leave. And when I left there, just that whole year, it was such a sickening feeling that I told myself the next following year, I said, I don't regret, leaving the internship, but I told myself, you know what, I'll never do that again. I'll never sacrifice something that I know that, the universe, God, whatever, I know that they put on me to do this, and they've given me this I would say this fire to want to do it. And if I really feel that, I'm never gonna like forsake that, for nothing. I'm never gonna stop doing that. And I'm gonna have to work around it, but I'm never just gonna completely just let it go. So that was the time when I said, you know what, I gotta start figuring out what I want to do with my brand. And I had got a new job, and I was like, you know what, this money is gonna be used to kind of invest into what I want to do for the rest of my life.
Okay. Shout out to everyone that's coming on. Yvonda Smith Beauty, thank you for coming on. Kayla Bell, thank you for coming on. So do you feel, first of all, tell us the different roles of a fashion designer. And so what does a fashion designer do? What are some of the things that a fashion designer does?
Well, it depends on what level you're coming in at, and it depends on what perspective you're coming in at. Like for me, like from seeing pesos and just my introduction, it was from the streetwear, perspective. And I feel like when it comes to design and when it comes to just fashion, streetwear is a very good entry point and a good vehicle. But if you really want to get down into like, garments, how to create garments, when it comes to designing, when it comes to just the business aspect of it as well too, I feel like just some of the examples that I've seen for hire. Give me one second. Hello?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, yeah. No, my alarm had went off for a second. So let me fix that. But I feel like when it comes to from the perspective that I was at, I said, you know what? I know it's more than just creating a t-shirt and putting an image on it. You have to know how to market. You got to know what your voice is really. And all of this stuff is stuff that I'm still learning. All of this is things that I'm learning on the way. So the different roles you got to have, you got to know.
Let's stop. Well, let's stop right there because I think you're saying something very important. Everyone tries to come out with a t-shirt line, but you just said you have to know your voice and you have to know the image of what you're putting on it, like how it speaks to people. That's how you start, because there's a lot of t-shirt lines coming out, but from a marketing perspective, you have to know would you say your target audience? You have to have a unique image. What would you say would make a t-shirt line unique? Because some of those things that you just said really resonated. And I think for people that are making a t-shirt line, it's not just a matter of, putting out a t-shirt line, but thinking about some important things.
Well, I think it's becoming more niche. I feel like in today's time, more than any other time in history when it comes to fashion, people want to be extremely niche. That people want to know that what you're doing is different than what someone else is doing. And also too, they want to have somewhere to champion their interests and champion the things that they love. So that goes with, if you create a t-shirt brand, you don't want to just create a t-shirt brand for, I would say, oh, I just want to do a t-shirt brand for like good music. It's like, okay, that's cool, but a lot of people like good music. And what makes you different from, this other brand that's putting out, old band tees or whatever, that's putting out old old tees that have R&B singers on it. Like, what's making you different? Well, you say, you know what? Cool. You want to let me find out, let me cross-reference and find unique artists that are part of that. Let me find different aspects of the genre that not that people are big on, but let me just continue to research. Let me find out the little intricacies when it comes to what I'm looking into. And when it comes to, like, for me, Newark is, Newark, like any other city, is just, it could be looked at as another urban city. But at the same time, though, there's specific things within Newark that's very particular to Newark. And I think for me, it's more about finding how do you put those things that are very particular to Newark within what I do? And that would translate for anybody that's trying to come up with a brand. What are the little intricacies that the people that you're talking to, that language, they speak that same language? Because, it's nothing that's going to make them perk up if what you're saying, everybody else can understand it. People want to feel like they're unique when they're putting on their clothes.
Speak, Rashan. Okay. Everyone, feel free to ask Rashan a question. He can't see this chat because I have him on Zoom, but on YouTube, they're chatting away, Rashan. So I am really enjoying this conversation. So in terms of training, what would you say someone would have? So I got the marketing piece. I feel like when I asked that question and talking about the t-shirt line, there's a low barrier of entry because there's such a high profit margin with t-shirts. So basically, you all, when I say high profit margin, you can buy or get a t-shirt made for $5 and
Exactly.
sell it for $20. So anyone can basically start a t-shirt line. But yeah, going back to what Rashan was saying, you want to have those different pieces in line. So do you think any training has to come into place in addition to what you said, but maybe from not only understanding that marketing piece, but is there anything else someone would need to start a t-shirt line successfully?
It's the same thing, like I was saying before. It depends on what entry and who your target are, and who you're speaking to.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to me, I'm trying to get into garments, into material that's durable, that's sustainable, and that people, when they put it on, they're like, yo, this is really good material. People look at that. Now, if you're talking about another brand that's a fast fashion brand, the quality is not as important as it is just making it and getting it out there. If you want to be like that, that's something totally different. That's not great for the environment, but I would say that if that's what you want to do, that's the route that you would go, just creating something very catchy and getting it out there. But if you really, for at least the people that I think that I would interact with, the people that I'm interested in really just picking their minds when it comes to things, they look at stuff like that. They look at how the garment is made. They look at, the material that they're getting. They look at the design or what went into it. So I want to get into people they're going to tell me like, yo, like this material is not good. Like, or what's it called? This design, I don't mind that, because the people, I know that they're interested, that their interest is in what I'm giving them. It's not just, it's past just my name. It's more into what is the ideology behind what they're getting. I think that's always piqued my interest, and I want to give that to people too. I want that to pique their interest as well. When it comes to the training I have, I'm a part of the ever expanding University of YouTube. I have watched countless hours of YouTube videos. I also have Skillshare. I have Skillshare right now because I'm learning.
Love it. YouTube University. Okay, go ahead. Skillshare, and then go ahead.
And I have Skillshare, and I've been watching tutorials to just ever work on just becoming better at sewing, stuff like that. Because to me, I just really want to get more into like the construction of garments as well too. Like my brand is something very important to me, but at the same time, I really do want to get more into just how to be a better designer as well. Like that's the crux of it as well.
Awesome. No, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. It's you're self-made, you're self-taught, YouTube University, and then you said Skillshare. Okay, but that's awesome. I wanted to ask you, what has been your biggest challenge on this journey as a designer? And then there's several other questions here.
My biggest challenge, I would say the biggest challenge is getting out of my own way. And I'll elaborate on that. So getting out of my own way, a lot of times, especially creatives, we get caught up in the idea of perfection. Now, I'm not talking about when you're sewing something, when you're making something, and you have instructions on how to do it. That is different. You want to make sure that what you're doing is perfect. It is exactly how it's supposed to be made. But I'm talking about when it comes up to ideas, the concepts, the things of that nature, to what you want to put on. We could get so caught up in trying to create this perfect thing that we want that it stops us from, at the end of the day, doing the work, getting it out. You know, people want to see what you're making. And sometimes we could hold off on putting things out because we're so stuck on the idea not being perfect, you know. And I think that also comes with creating a team, that creating like-minded people that want to, you know, work with you, or just having those people around you that you could talk to that could tell you like, yo, bro, like you're, you know, sis, like you waiting too long. Like you're it's nothing else that you could really do. Just put it out there, you know. But I think a lot of times for us, it's like that fear of failure, that when we put it out, we won't get the response that we want. So we want to hold off on it, because if it's with me, you know, I could always say, well, maybe it might be good, or, you know, you could have that, you don't have to have that harsh reality that maybe people aren't interested in it like that. So I think that's for me, getting on my own way and just putting things out. I think that's been one of my biggest hiccups.
Wow, thank you so much, Rashan. So a couple of things. Talking about teams and helping you get out of your way. Shout out to my team, Gail Preddy, Lauren, Bria, all of you all here. So Lauren
Absolutely,
said
absolutely.
the fear of failure can be so, oh, now y'all gonna make me mess up. Debilitating. Oh, that sounded so nice as it came out. Debilitating. Lauren said that, but she also gave you a shout out on your sustainability. We just did a show called Pearls Go Green, eco fashion show, because I didn't realize how bad the, you know, fashion could be to the environment, how you were talking about
Yes.
fast fashion, but for you to be someone that really thinks past the design, but really focuses on, you know, the foundation and the quality and just mixing that all up. You got a shout out about that. And then Kayla Bell says, and Yvonne Smith is just telling you good advice. Kayla Bell says, how do you stay the course? What motivates you?
You know, I grew up in a uh, very religious household. And as I got older, I've kind of shied away from all the religion, but the spirituality is, you know, very much the same for me. It's a big part of my life. And I really do believe when you're given like a calling on something that you should do, people may call it a calling from God. Some people may say a calling from the universe. Or somebody might just say a purpose, a life purpose. If you don't go on that course, if you don't engage in it, if you don't give effort to that, you'll never be happy in the things that you're doing. For me, I've noticed, like, when it comes to just me personally and the job that I work, like at my job, I work from either roughly around 12 hours a day. That's the job that at my job I do. I work around 12 hours a day. For me to know that I have to work 12 hours a day, and after that come work on my brand, that also gives me the idea to know that, you know what, I have to keep my health intact. You know, I can't just be out there all the time. That also means that I have to, whenever I can get sleep, I have to sleep, because I can't be groggy at my job, and I have to be able to give, you know, the utmost my utmost focus to my brand. So it's kind of shaped, what's kept me going is just knowing that, you know what I'm doing is enhancing my life all around. Like, I'm like, you know, I have to get a better diet. And that's also helped with just my upbringing, because my dad's a very healthy guy. But all of that has just kind of circled around why I feel like, yo, I need to become a better person, because what this thing, if I'm not doing it, like I said, that year in 2019 was literally the worst year of my life. Like, I felt horrible that whole year, not only because my family member was sick, but more importantly because I wasn't doing something that I loved, and I felt like I forsake that. And it's just it's the worst feeling. You don't want to feel like that. You don't want to have that regret. Regret is the worst. It's one of the worst feelings that you could have in your life. Feeling like, damn, I could have did this, but you don't want to have that but.
I can relate. It's hard to find balance. That is from Lauren. And then Keon or Victoria, excuse me, says, I'm going to the fifth grade. Okay. Okay. Well, no, we definitely don't want to live with regret. We definitely want to engage in the things that keep calling our spirit. Sometimes you try to walk away from something and it's like, no, you're an artist. I don't know what you're trying to do, but you're an artist, or you're this, you're that. So engaging in that, yes, and staying the course, and also embracing it and doing the things to develop it, right?
Yes.
Developing our gifts so that our gifts serve us while we're here on earth. When we develop our gifts, they serve us. We're then able to start businesses with them. We're able to monetize them and bless others, and it's able to serve us. So,
I want to say this too, really
mhm.
quickly, because that last part that you said, it was something that I always think about. It's about blessing others. And what a lot of times we don't understand when we have that fear of failure, and that fear is selfish at the same time. When you don't give your all, you don't give yourself to the calling that you had, that diminishes and discourages other people to want to do that too. So, like,
Mhm.
if a lot of us don't know, and it's not about having like a God complex where you feel like you can save the world, but it's about not understanding that sometimes people are looking at you to see, like, all right, let me see if I want to do this, but let me see if what's name is doing it, what they said they should be doing, so that could give me motivation. And where I'm from, there's a bunch of I have a studio down here in downtown Newark. There are a bunch of budding fashion lines, or a lot of designers, a lot of people working on their life's work down here, and that stuff gives me energy. It breathes life into the things that I'm doing. It makes it more important for me to do this. And it makes me say, you know what, I have to do this because I see X, Y, and Z doing this. I see X, Y, and Z doing this. When you say, I'm not going to do this because I'm too afraid, you're robbing not only yourself, but the world of the things that your gifts that you have. Give your gift. Don't hold it in. It's your gift is not only for you, but it's for the world. So that fear could be very selfish. And a lot of times we don't understand that and we don't see that.
I agree. It's like, I think when we're young, we're very selfless. We just share our gifts, and I'll speak from my own perspective. And then you start getting older, and I don't know if it's a self-consciousness or a judgment that happens. And for me, I started to close in and go inside because of that judgment. But then you realize that it's a gift and you can't hold it in. So then you learn how to work through that judgment, as well as maintaining that gift and understanding that it's not just for you, that it is for the world, and that that judgment may come, but you have to kind of fight through it, right? When you think of all of the different people that expose their gifts, and judgment may come with that. Being part of a leader, being a leader, you may be judged in certain ways, but you have to know who you are and why you're doing what it is that you're doing.
It's
So I
par for
do.
the course.
Yes, yes. So I do have a question. What advice do you have for a fifth grader that's trying to learn more about fashion? And that's Victoria.
Okay, I will say it was four things that I would say. First, the first one is do the work. And that sounds very simple, but that means ingest as much information on fashion as you possibly can. In today's time, we have more books, more videos, more information than we've ever had on anything in the history of this earth. So fashion is the same. It's no different. There's tons of books. Right now, I'm listening to the audiobook of I think it's called Gods and Kings, the rise and fall of Alexander McQueen and John Galliano. John Galliano. I'm butchering his name right now. God forgive me. But it's by Danny Thomas. And what I'm saying is that continue to read as many books as you possibly can on fashion. On the every documentary that you could find, there's tons of that. Well, I won't say tons, but there's a good amount of fashion documentaries. Not so much that you could get lost in them. You could literally probably find it's probably about 40 real fashion documentaries. Watch all of them. Runway shows, look at all of them. Just find your favorite designers, watch their runway shows. When it comes, if you want to get into sewing, learn how to sew. if you, when it comes to being a fashion designer, if you want to get into journalism, what's it called? Look on documentaries about fashion journalism. There's so much information. Literally engulf yourself in it. You know, that's the first thing I would say. So that's part of doing the work. And for someone that you said, for someone that's going to fifth grade.
Fifth grade,
Okay.
yes. Mm-hmm.
I would say another thing would be continue to try to find your voice. Same thing with the brand. If you want to create something, find out the language of what you're creating. Find out who you're speaking to, you know, and who that's going to touch. You know, I would say that's an important part of it. For me, I feel like I'm continuing to find my voice, but I know that it is crucial to being able to further connect to the people that I want to connect to. You know, because if your language is clear, then the people will come. So I would say find your voice. And the last thing I would say, I would say, I can't think of the last thing I would say, but I would just go back to what I was saying before. It's just, you know, if this is something that you really want, and if this is something that you really believe in, that you really want to give yourself to, then just give your gift. Don't hold it in. Don't be selfish. Don't rob us. We need you.
All right. So if there were 3 celebrities that you would want wearing your brand, who would those be?
3 celebrities.
Yes.
Okay.
Rocky
So
Shway Ali.
yes. So all right. If it was 3 celebrities, one I would say Virgil Abloh. 2, I would say, I don't know if they're in the fashion world, they're celebrities. Demna Gvasalia, the creative director of Balenciaga, and I would say Phoebe Philo, the
Okay.
the the once creative director of Celine.
Okay, nice. I have to look up some of these people. And Victoria said, thank you so much for the advice.
No problem. No problem.
Well, Rashan, tell us, where can we find your brand? Everyone that's tuned in, where can they find your brand? If you can let us know.
Absolutely. So the brand is, I'm on Instagram. It's Shway Ali. That's SHWAY Ali ALI. That's Shway Ali. Right now I'm selling. I have my first hoodie that I ever put out. It was a homage to the election. It said neither for president. So please check that out. If you like it, please indulge in it. Yeah, that's where I'm at right now. I'm also on Twitter as well, Shway Ali, same spelling, SHWAY Ali ALI.
Well, thank you so much for being an amazing guest on Model Talk Tuesdays and sharing your pearls of wisdom with us. We'll be sure we're already following each other, so I look forward to seeing your journey as you continue as a fashion designer. And thank you so much for sharing with us. And everyone, thank you, audience, for being with us. And we'll see you next Tuesday for another edition of Model Talk Tuesdays. All right,
No doubt.
everyone. Yes.
Peace.
Hang on one second, Rashan.
No doubt.